So you're not attracted to me? Are you sure? Do you promise? Okay, good. So you probably would want to leave now because I have to close down the front desk here because we're getting ready to start a training. And no, you wouldn't want to have this training. It's just a bunch of people like me in there. So you can go out the way that you came, sir. And have a lovely day. Hello, and welcome to Playground. Our life and our livelihood depends on our ability to be the best versions of ourselves. But what would it mean for your life if you could sit down and have a chat with the source of your behavior? I've learned how to do this in a reliable way. Stick around and learn these tools for free. Hello, and welcome to Playground. You know, even the most successful people among us still deal with anxieties and stress and self-sabotage. We all do. And we try to manage it as best we can. Sometimes it's in a healthy way, sometimes it's not a healthy way. When it's unhealthy, it's really bad. Sometimes we numb ourselves, we distract, we take up addictions, we distort, we point fingers. Maybe we try to control or manipulate or bicker or criticize. And even when it's healthy, it's still just managing as opposed to actually eradicating or eliminating the source of our anxieties, our fears, our stress. Meanwhile, we all want to be confident and grounded and open and creative and caring and funny. But the source of our behavior is not something that we have a direct line of communication with. But what would it mean for your life if you could sit down and have a chat, a direct conversation with the source of your behavior, with your unconscious? Some people say subconscious. I like to say inner wisdom, subsurface, your true self. I like to also call it the middle mind, which I'll explain. But what if you could sit down and have just a chit chat? What would that mean? What wisdom would you want to know? Because that is the storehouse of our wisdom, our ability to intuit and have insight and to identify, calculate, evaluate. So what wisdom would you want to be able to harvest? And what favors would you ask of this deeper resource? There's so much we can use it for, so many problems we can address with it, so much we can achieve with more effortless ease and flow. And I've learned how to do this in a reliable way so that I could teach this to other people as well. But then I realized that learning how to do it and creating tools for it was not the hard part. The hard part is explaining the value to people who haven't grown up surrounded by people who are doing this. So they don't recognize the value. They're not searching for how to do this. It's kind of like with electricity. The time that it took to go from killing whales for their fat so that we could have a little bit of light at night to where we are today, where we take for granted being able to flip on the light, it took a very long time. So what I realized is that learning how and creating the tools is not the daunting part. The hard part is actually communicating the value so that you are motivated to stick around and learn these tools from me for free. Because here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to nickel and dime you. I'm not going to gatekeep any of this. I'm going to teach it for free. So I hope you stick around and learn this. And this is my first attempt to communicate the value so that you're motivated. I feel like I had to stand up just to give you some more energy here. So let's jump in. In this video, I'm going to give you some real life examples of what it has meant to be able to have conversational access to your subsurface intelligence. But I'm going to do that by giving you insight into how I started out versus how I am now. While I hope you can't relate to where I started out because it was bad, if you do relate to it, then maybe that gives you some hope that things can get better. So growing up, I had First of all, I think a melancholy type of lean in my personality. But on top of that, had inherited depression. I had a lot of energy in my brain. So if you're positive, you can be really positive. But if you feel down and negative, then it can feel like a storm of negativity. And that's what I went through. On top of that, it seemed like even the things that I had going for me didn't necessarily work in my favor a lot of times. Sometimes it inspired bullying and targeting at school and in the workplace. So life was just really hard and I was in pain most of the time. And I didn't need a class on justice to know, to understand that it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair that some people are born with a much shorter end of the stick, while others, I could easily observe, they just had an upbringing and a life experience that allowed them to just kind of move through life more effortlessly, to make connections, to accomplish things. Not that life was perfect or easy for them, but they just didn't seem to have the kinds of challenges that other people like myself do. And on top of that, they seem to be able to engender and inspire the sympathy and the respect and the love that we all need to receive from other people. So that sense of injustice that I could perceive made me even more in pain. But I had this other aspect of me that wanted joy. I wanted to be lighthearted and fun loving and funny and loving and affectionate. And that seemed to be who I really was, but there was all this stuff blocking that from being my experience. So, because of that part of me, I became obsessed with how to shift myself from the category of the short end of the stick type of people into the other category. Almost like a sense of loyalty to myself was what drove me to become obsessed with this. But in the meantime, while I was learning it, feeling like you want to be joyful when all the thoughts that are flooding your mind are anything but joyful, almost in a way made it that much harder, right? If you just resolve to be unhappy, if you're fine with being unhappy and then you're unhappy, there's at least less tension there. So that's where I started. And I'll go into in another video, I'm sure down the line, about my full story and how I applied my natural talents and my intellectual curiosity and my professional experiences to be able to learn how to do this. But in essence, I did learn and I successfully shifted myself to that other category of people where having a good day does feel effortless, where I wake up feeling good, I go to bed feeling satisfied, and I'm solidly there. In fact, I think that I've pushed beyond that because once I saw that these tools work and I got the hang of how they work, I kind of wanted to see what else this puppy can do. This human experience, this body, this mind, this heart, all the gifts that we've been given. And so I'm very solidly being treated the way I want to be treated. I treat people the way that I want to treat them. My thoughts are either quiet or, for the most part, very loving and positive and joyful and looking on the bright side, all of those things. So that's where I want to inspire you to believe is possible if you are one of those people where that's not already true for. Now, just a couple of examples of how these tools for conversing with your inner wisdom can be applied. So, one is that I've used chats with my inner wisdom to understand my God-given gifts. There's three of them. Not only that, but then to understand how to weave them together professionally. And once I got that information, I started to pursue it. It felt right. I couldn't have gotten that just with my conscious mind. And the conscious mind is important, but it's just a fraction of what all we can do. Our conscious mind is really not supposed to be doing the heavy lifting that we have, been resigned or that we've been taught that we're supposed to use it for. It's not for the deeper creative works. It's more for just running errands, taking care of basic tasks. So I couldn't have gotten there with just my conscious mind, but once I did get the answer, it felt so right, so accurate. And once I started to pursue that, I learned that what I'm doing is exactly on trend with my related industry. And that synchronicity is astounding, but it's not surprising because at this point, I'm very used to that. I'll give you an even more nuanced or detailed example of that. I'm doing what I know I should be doing, what I want to be doing. And as part of that, I work with clients to do custom curating of their external environment. And oftentimes it has to do with their home or their office. And so I'm always learning things that I can do for them since sometimes it's custom and there's not something that already exists that I can just, source or purchase for them. So I'm always learning how to do things. And one thing that I told my friend that I had gotten from my inner wisdom that I want to learn, I'm going to master the art of painting those big fluffy, voluminous, cumulus clouds. All right, that was about 2 or 3 days ago. And today I came across the fact that the color of the year, Pantone puts out a color of the year every year. And so it's inspiring for artists, it helps them to follow trends. And there's all this research and reason behind it. But the color for this year is cloud. That's the name of the color. I think it's Cloud Dancer, but it's a white, kind of grayish color of clouds. And the person who was reporting on this went into where we are in society. And again, I'm not surprised at that synchronicity, but it's an example. I mean, it felt really good. It didn't make me feel dismayed like, "Oh man, I'm behind the trend." It made me feel in harmony with it. It just gave me assurance that I am in harmony with myself, and that harmony puts me in harmony with my fellow brothers and sisters here on this earth, which is why it's one of the reasons why I like to refer to our inner wisdom or our subconscious as the middle mind, because I think of it as the mind, the part of you that is in the middle between you and the rest of life. And that's why when you connect to it, you're not only harvesting a broader reach of resource, but you're also coming into harmony and connecting better with the world around you. So, welcome to the playground. Thank you for joining me here, and I will see you in the first lesson of the first tool, which is called rendering. Until then, take care.